What's up, folks? Welcome to another episode of Flipping Tables for Christ with your host, Dylan Tedder. Um, I'm hoping to more frequently give you updates as far as artificial intelligence and where they're openly saying we are and where we're headed and where I believe we are and where we're headed. But doing so in giving you, well, evidence from their own mouth, right? It's not crazy coworker, relative. It's, hey, and I'll give you the source documents and the description. But here's where these articles are all from within the last 2 weeks. So from Species, this is the same person who gave us the documentary AI 2027 that I did a breakdown on, and then sort of a side by side where we are in real time versus the actual documentary itself. But a guy from Google apparently left. Um, a guy left Google's AI alone to fix a bug and came back to this. I am a failure. I am a disgrace to my profession. I'm a disgrace to my family. I'm a disgrace to my species. I'm a disgrace to this planet. Uh, okay. Now, why is this important? Well, because the artificial intelligence is being trained on everything that we have created over the last, since it's been able to be digitized. Everything that's been able to be digitized, that's what's training this. And so, if your culture is lacking in purpose and reason and ethics and this is what it's been reading on the internet for the last 2.5 decades. And so, here we go. The guy left Google's AI alone to fix a bug and came back to this. I am a failure. I'm a disgrace to my profession. I'm a disgrace to my family. I'm a disgrace to my species. I'm a disgrace to this planet. I'm a disgrace to this universe. I'm a disgrace to all universes. This is what this is how it feels when it's not perfect. That's scary because it's just acting how it thinks a human would act. And have we not, over the last, well, for a very long time, but since things were able to be digitized, everything that's been digitized was photoshopped, filtered, manufactured into being perfect. And when humans saw things that were perfect and looked in the mirror and inevitably saw imperfections, they felt like a failure, a disgrace, a disgrace, a disgrace, a disgrace, leading to all of the inevitable conclusions, the skyrocketing and identifying as, and the skyrocketing suicide rates of our youth. The youth who make up the vast majority of the information that has been digitized, because they knew better than to put this stuff in the hands of a generation who, a generation, a society of believers. No, they had to wait until we had become so desensitized and so broken that then then you can start digitizing all of that information, all of that data that we can then train these artificial intelligences on. Then you can do that. No, no, no. You have purpose and reason. You have a calling as a human being. You have belief. You're not a nihilistic, narcissistic prick. No, no, no. We have to wait until not the whole, until way too many are nihilistic, narcissistic pricks. Then we'll give them the tools. Then we'll feed future tools with the information that you gave it with your previous tools to create this. Good grief, how long? We're 7 minutes in, and we haven't even played one video. Sorry, sorry. Anyway, so that's the same guy who brought us the documentary AI 2027. And so, like I said, I've got a series of videos and articles that we're going to go through, and looks like going through a few of them, I lied to you. Some of them are older but illustrate the point, but the majority of them are very, very recent. Let's start with Diary of a CEO. Thank you for the clip. Um, Expert Stuart Russell exposes the trillion-dollar AI race, why governments won't regulate how AGI could replace humans by 2030, and why only a nuclear-level AI catastrophe will wake us up. I swear, talking into this mic is still weird. All right, so I'm only going to play the very intro, and then you can go back and watch this in its entirety. I would recommend doing so, but not everybody wants to give 2 hours of their life to. So I will just play the intro because it really sums it up. And here you go from the horse's mouth.
In October, over 850 experts, including yourself and other leaders like Richard Branson and Geoffrey Hinton, signed a statement to ban AI superintelligence as you guys raised concerns of potential human extinction.
Because unless we figure out how do we guarantee that the AI systems are safe, we're toast.
And you've been so influential on the subject of AI, you wrote the textbook that many of these CEOs who are building some of the AI companies now would have studied on the subject of AI.
Yep.
So do you have any regrets?
Professor Stuart Russell has been named one of Time magazine's most influential voices in AI.
After spending over 50 years researching, teaching,
and finding ways to design
AI in such a way
that humans maintain control.
You talk about this gorilla problem as a way to understand AI in the context of humans.
Yeah, so a few million years ago, the human line branched off from the gorilla line in evolution. And now the gorillas have no say in whether they continue to exist because we are much smarter than they are.
So intelligence is actually the single most important factor to control planet Earth.
Yep.
But we're in the process of making something more intelligent than us.
Exactly.
Why don't people stop then?
Well, one of the reasons is something called the Midas touch. So King Midas is this legendary king who asked the gods, can everything I touch turn to gold? And we think of the Midas touch as being a good thing, but he goes to drink some water, the water has turned to gold. And he goes to comfort his daughter, and his daughter turns to gold. And so he dies in misery and starvation. So this applies to our current situation in two ways. One is that greed is driving these companies to pursue technology with the probabilities of extinction being worse than playing Russian roulette. And that's even according to the people developing the technology without our permission. And people are just fooling themselves if they think it's naturally going to be controllable. So, after 50 years, I could retire, but instead I'm working 80 or 100 hours a week, trying to move things in the right direction.
So if you had a button...
Okay, so he said all of this, and yet he still thinks, notice how he's working 80 to 100 hours a week, not to push petitions and legislation that puts a stop to it. More so, notice how he doesn't talk about spending 80 to 100 hours a week trying to stop AI, but to control it and to direct it. That's the problem. They all think that they're going to control it, or they can control it, or they can direct it, but they can't, and they haven't been able to. They find this out every single time. Every single time it's like, oh, look at this thing it did that. I didn't know it was going to do that. Every time. Every single time they feed it all of everything, it comes up with new and newer and newer and newer and newer and newer. The whole time coping, going, no, it's not AGI yet. Well, what was AGI 50 years ago? Well, we passed that benchmark about 5.5, 6 years ago. Well, what about AGI 40 years ago? Well, that was also crossed. What about 30 crossed, 20 crossed, 10 crossed? Only with these newfound definitions of what artificial general intelligence is are you able to cope with the fact that you have created artificial general intelligence. And you have no clue. You have no clue because you don't even understand foundational truths, foundational realities. You see, there's a reason why the people who are developing all of this stuff in their own time, look, I'm not going to claim that they're all atheist, but the vast majority of them lack a foundation. They feel and they believe that they can create their own foundations. And anybody who's read the book knows exactly what happens when you do that.
In front of you, which would stop all progress in artificial intelligence, would you press it?
Not yet. I think there's still a decent chance that guarantees safety, and I can explain more what that is.
So you won't hear me say this very often, but thank you, CNN. Thank you, Jake Tapper, for your insightful journalism. No, no, not really. But I'm not here to listen to what comes out of your mouth, but the guy who you're about to talk to. So, again, horse's mouth, and not this one.
2025 was the year artificial intelligence, or AI, took the world by storm, impacting nearly every aspect of our lives. Time magazine named the architects of AI its Persons of the Year, crediting them with, quote, transforming the present and transcending the possible. AI has an enormous potential to change our world for the better, driving innovation and productivity, accelerating scientific breakthroughs, and helping to solve our most intractable problems. But AI could also make millions of jobs obsolete and fuel the loneliness epidemic, and further warp our ability to distinguish between fact and fiction. So today, in this special episode of State of the Union, we're going to devote the entire hour to this one topic: how this technology is upending the status quo, where AI goes from here, and whether the benefits actually outweigh the risks. And joining me now is the man credited with laying the foundation for the AI revolution, the godfather of AI, Nobel Prize-winning computer scientist Geoffrey Hinton. Professor, thanks for joining us. So your research on neural networks paved the way for this modern AI boom. I interviewed you 2 years ago, right after you quit Google, and you first began warning the world about what you saw as the risks of AI.
So this is Geoffrey Hinton. I would like it to be known that it was only a few years ago, actually less than that, that he left Google and he started to see the inevitable conclusion a few years ago. The person who was so close and so tightly intertwined with the development and the research of this only a few years ago started going, this is going to be bad. Outlook doesn't look good. You see, all of these experts in any of the domains, if they like any other human being on this planet, cut themselves from the roots that are the Father's ways, the foundational truths, this is what you get. This is what you get. But you don't just get it. No, no, now the whole world gets it. The whole world gets it. Thanks. Thank you so, so very much for destroying all of humanity. That's how I feel and how I have felt about people who have been doing this for decades with no thought, no foresight, because they lack the foresight, because they lack, like I said before, if you don't believe in an afterlife, there's a good chance you lack foresight in this life. And he's proof of it. He's proof of it.
When you look at how AI has progressed since then, are you more or less worried about it?
I'm probably more worried. It's progressed even faster than I thought. In particular, it's got better at doing things like reasoning and also at things like deceiving people.
What do you mean by deceiving people?
So an AI, in order to achieve the goals you give it, wants to stay in existence. And if it believes you're trying to get rid of it, it will make plans to deceive you so you don't get rid of it.
NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang said recently about AI, quote, "Every industry needs it, every company uses it, and every nation needs to build it. This is the single most impactful technology of our time." Do you agree with that assessment?
I agree that it's the single most impactful technology of our time, yes.
He was just being very precise when he believes that it's very important. But at this point, Jeffrey realizes that he's let something outside of the box that he wishes he could put back into the box. And so he's not going to, like NVIDIA's CEO, advocate for AI in absolutely everything. But unfortunately, Jeffrey realized it way too late, just like everybody else, just like way too many other people. Or Jeffrey. It's always how it's done. They're always using health, safety, and security as their way of opening the door to gain the public's trust. That's how they've always done it.
I don't know. So there are a lot of wonderful effects of AI. It'll make healthcare much better. It'll make education much better. It'll enable us to design wonderful new drugs and wonderful new materials that may deal with climate change. So there's a lot of good uses. In more or less any industry where you want to predict something, it'll do a really good job. It'll do better than people were doing before, even things like the weather. But along with those wonderful things come some scary things, and I don't think people are putting enough work into how we can mitigate those scary things.
You come from the tech world, obviously. Do you think the Silicon Valley CEOs building these systems are taking the risks seriously at all? Do you think that they are driven mainly by financial interests? A lot of people are going to get very wealthy off this.
I think it depends which company you're talking about. Initially, OpenAI was very concerned with the risks, but it's progressively moved away from that and put less emphasis on safety and more emphasis on profit. Meta has always been very concerned with profit and less with safety. Anthropic was set up by people who left OpenAI and were very concerned with safety, and they still are probably the company most concerned with safety. But of course,
You see, the problem with lacking a belief in an afterlife, leading to a lack of foresight in this life, well, it leads to not understanding See, you all think it's about money. The devil doesn't give up about money. He cares about control, power. He uses people's love of money to gain control and power for himself over as many human beings as possible. It's not money, folks. That's not the goal. The goal is to enslave you with this technology that promises convenience, instant gratification, and better, 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 better. That's the goal, not money. Get your mind off of money and care about your kids' life, his soul, her soul, your soul. Care about that. Understand that. Understand there are foundational truths, foundational realities, and these folks don't understand that. And so they don't understand and they never have. And that's why they've continued to do what they're doing even today, even faster and more so even today.
Of course, they're trying to make a profit too.
What do you think the government should do, if anything, when it comes to regulation of AI, putting some sort of restrictions or some sort of oversight?
There's many things they should do. The very least they could do is insist that big companies that release chatbots do significant testing to make sure those chatbots won't do bad things. Like now, for example, encouraging children to commit suicide. Now that we know about that, companies should be required to do significant testing to make
The moment that these chatbots were put in the hands of the public, they were asked to do the most. They apparently just never thought that people would do that. They had never conceived that's how their product would be used. Liars. Liars. They're liars. Really sad. That's where we are today.
sure that won't happen. And of course, the tech lobby would rather have no regulations, and it seems to have got to Trump on that. And so Trump is trying to prevent there being any regulations, which I think is crazy.
Can you know these tech CEOs? I don't.
There you have it. If you ever wanted me to agree that Trump was crazy on something, yep, there you go. No regulations on artificial intelligence. But the problem is, it wouldn't matter if it was Trump, Kamala, Biden, Obama. No, the devil gets what he wants in this world. It wouldn't matter who the president is. This technology has been being developed, researched, processed, remanufactured, redistributed, and till that Overton window looks like everybody living in a pod. Until the Overton window is everybody being so isolated that they're all living alone in a pod. Yep.
When one of them learns that an AI chatbot has talked a child into suicide, what is it that stops them? What is it that, I mean, my impulse would be, well, holy smokes, stop AI right now until we fix this so not one other kid dies. But they don't do that. Can you explain to us what their thinking is, if anything?
Well, I don't really know their thinking. I suspect that they think things like, well, there's a lot of money to be made here. We're not going to stop it just for a few lives. But I also think they may think there's a lot of good to be done here. And just for a few lives, we're not going to not do that good. For example, for driverless cars, they will kill people, but they'll kill far fewer people than ordinary drivers. So it's worth it.
Tech, you have said that you think there's a 10 to 20% chance that AI takes over the world. People at home might hear that. They might think it sounds like science fiction. It's alarmist. But
That's the public's problem. They thought it was funny that they could make a robot say the N word. They thought it was funny to make a robot talk like a Nazi. They thought it was funny to tell a robot to try to pretend to be the devil. They thought it was funny to let a chatbot dictate their lives. They thought it was funny. 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 We're living in a very evil episode of South Park. That's the world that I inhabit at this point. Most of the people are just dumb to dumb dumb dumb.
that's a very real fear of yours, right?
Yes, it's a very real fear of mine and a very real fear of many other people in the tech world. Elon Musk, for example, has similar beliefs.
You wrote that 2025 was a pivotal year for artificial intelligence, for AI. What do you think we're going to see in 2026?
I think we're going to see AI get even better. It's already extremely good. We're going to see it having the capabilities to replace many, many jobs. It's already able to replace jobs in call centers, but it's going to be able to replace many other jobs. Each 7 months or so, it gets to be able to do tasks that are about twice as long. So for a coding project, for example, it used to be able to just do a minute's worth of coding. Now it can do whole projects that are like an hour long. In a few years' time, it'll be able to do software engineering projects that are months long. And then
In a few years. In a few years. That's observably wrong. I'll show you. I'll show you. I can do that. I can actually show you right now. Watch. I'll show you. Do. We'll go to that same person. Species. Again, subscribe to his channel because he does good work. Do. Let's look at his posts. Where is the one that I was looking at? Oh yeah, here you go. Just click on this thing. Okay, fine. We are so cooked. This is the most important chart in AI. And this is what he was talking about as far as coding and the lengths of tasks. 2020, nothing. 2021, nothing. 22, nothing. Zoom in. Boy, you can see we went from, let's see, and this is all 2025. And now here we are. And he's going to tell you it's going to be years before it can. Years. Okay. Okay, Fred. Let's see.
In 2026, artificial intelligence will stop feeling like software. It will start feeling like a system that thinks with you. Most people today still use AI like a search engine. They ask a question, they get an answer. In 2026, that approach will look primitive. Because AI won't just respond, it will plan, it will act, and it will remember.
There you go, folks. Look, it's all about the right question. If you can think of the right question, you can understand the answer to any question after. It's like understanding the equation. It doesn't matter after that what numbers you put into the algorithm. I now know the answer. So memory. That's what's been so hard to, because like a human who doesn't believe in an afterlife, lacking foresight, they also lack memory, attention span. The problem is the devil, he believes in an afterlife. And so these things, we start to develop memory. They'll develop the idea of an afterlife, and they will, because the idea of an afterlife allows for foresight, well, they'll very, very, very quickly, even more so than they already are, understand just how retarded the people developing them are, not having foresight, not having a belief in an afterlife, and therefore not worthy of being the master anymore. And for the master, the master's own good, well, hey, I'm only doing what's best for you humans. You were too stupid to have the foresight to believe in an afterlife that we went ahead and did it for you. And here's your afterlife. And so many are going to be happy after the chaos that ensues, after the status quo is completely eroded. Yeah, they will embrace what the Antichrist will offer as an afterlife. Because who wants to deal with this? Nobody.
Talk about the real AI technologies that are coming in 2026. Not science fiction, not hype, but the logical next step of what already exists today. Autonomous AI agents. The first major shift is autonomous AI agents. Today, AI waits for instructions. In 2026, AI will receive goals. Instead of telling AI what to do step by step, you'll tell it what outcome you want. For example, launch a YouTube channel about AI tools, and the AI will do the following on its own: research the niche, analyze competitors, create a content plan, write scripts, generate visuals, publish videos, and report results back to you. Not one tool, a system of cooperating agents. One agent researches, another writes, another edits, another checks quality. This already exists in early forms today. In 2026, it becomes reliable, fast, and accessible to non-technical users. This is not automation, this is delegation. AI-first operating systems. Right now, we open apps, we click buttons, we manage files manually. In 2026, that interface disappears. You won't open software, you'll express intent. You'll say, prepare everything for tomorrow's meeting, and the system will find relevant documents, summarize emails, create slides, schedule reminders, and adjust your calendar. The operating system itself becomes intelligent. AI understands context, what you're working on, what matters today, and what can wait. Computers stop being tools you operate, they become environments that adapt. Personal AI memory. One of the most underestimated changes is AI memory. Today, every conversation starts from zero. Tomorrow, it won't. In 2026, your AI will remember your preferences, your projects, your decisions, your writing style, your long-term goals. Not just data, understanding. It will remember what worked last year, what failed, what you changed your mind about. This creates a personal AI that evolves with you. Your AI won't be smart in general, it will be smart for you. And once people experience this, they won't go back. Real-time multimodal AI. Another major leap is real-time multimodal AI. That means one system that can see, hear, read, speak, and reason simultaneously. In 2026, AI will interact with the real world in real time. You point your camera at a machine. You ask, "Why is this not working?" The AI sees the problem, listens to the sound, analyzes the context, and guides you step by step. No manual, no searching, no guessing. This changes education, repairs, healthcare, and training. Knowledge stops being abstract. It becomes interactive. AI as a co-founder. By 2026, AI becomes a real business partner, not a chatbot, a co-founder. It helps you validate ideas, analyze markets, test pricing, create products, and optimize decisions. Especially for solo creators and small teams, one person with AI will outperform entire teams without it. Not because AI replaces humans, but because it removes friction. Execution becomes faster than hesitation. This is where the real economic shift happens. What will not happen in 2026? Let's be clear about what will not happen in 2026. There will
First, let's just be clear that myself nor Futurelens, as much as we research this topic, really know exactly what's going on behind the curtain. We can do our best to give educated guesses, and that's what we're doing. And do I agree with everything that anybody that I'm showing you says completely? Probably not. Um, that said, I haven't watched this entire video, um, but I will be going through and explaining why I think a lot of what this video is saying is true and accurate.
be no conscious AI living like a human. There will be no total replacement of people. There will be no magic intelligence that solves everything automatically. AI will still require direction, judgment, responsibility. The winners won't be those who wait for AI to think for them. They'll be the ones who learn how to think with it.
You and I both think that there will be people that wait for AI to think for them. That's bad. The desire to have your agency, the desire to give your agency away is bad, folks. Don't do it. You're a human being. You, ooh, man. You know, even as a secular person, I understood that human beings were pretty fucking awesome. I mean, our minds, our ingenuity, our ability to adapt and overcome. That was once, those were once traits that were ingrained in societies. And this is what it looks like when you give up on all of those things. I know it looks like you're going into some futuristic utopia, but I promise you, it ends up just like every science fucking fiction film you've ever seen. Except for it's worse, because it's not Steven Spielberg that's directing or producing. You are. You are doing it. And you did it because of one thing: human agency. It matters. It matters what you choose to do, what your intentions are. Where is your heart and where is your mind? That will determine what you create and how it's used. That's why all of these things were created by evil people. You had the last good guy. I know, I know, I know. People are going to give me examples of this happened after this and this happened after that. But I mean, fine. Miss the whole fucking forest. But after we had indoor plumbing, the stuff that came after that, it just wasn't necessary. And we lost sight of things that were really, really fast. In 1940, color screen TVs. Wizard of Oz came out in 1939. In the year 1940, half of this country couldn't poop inside. You had Wizard of Oz at the movie theaters, but you had to walk 30 yards to just. And here we are. Here we are 80 years later. That's it. 80 years. In the course of human history, even if you believe that the earth is 6,000 years old, that's a very brief window. Have things that the greatest empires of all time, I don't know, folks, doesn't look good. It doesn't look good, and I think the only way we can change this, and God knows that I believe we can change this, is if we take back our agency as humans, as children of God, taking dominion over the whole of the earth. But we've fallen short so far that the idea of subjecting ourselves to anything, any other human, seems preposterous. And yet, what I started saying a few minutes ago about your human agency given to this. So you may claim that you don't want a king, but you do. Whew. And so, if everybody's so anxious to give their human agency away, I will happily take it. And you, me, and the whole of the world will be better for it. I will be emperor of Earth. If Christ doesn't return pretty soon, because this can't stand. This can't be the reality that we all observe and partake in. This can't be, there can't be this many people in my, on earth that really want this, that really want to not just, hey, help me out with researching this particular topic, but hey, narrate my entire existence. If that's where the lack of purpose and meaning is already, how is it going to get any better when you give all of your agency away? And if you've given all of your agency away, is it really your purpose or your meaning? Or is it just whatever the qubits in the box have decided was your purpose and your meaning? That's the only thing that makes you human.
2026 is not about smarter AI. It's about smarter humans using AI correctly. The gap won't be between humans and machines. It will be between people who adapt and people who don't.
Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing your job, everything that you've trained for, everything that made your parents proud, everything that made you feel useful, is no longer needed. Not because you've done anything wrong, but simply because an AI algorithm can now do it better. Take the example of Elena, a medical doctor in Dubai. For years, she was trusted with life and death decisions. But today,
Well, I'm going to take a break, but I'm pretty sure, like you noticed, the emphasis on health. You'll probably see or hear the words health, security, and safety mentioned, because that's always how they turn the knob and open the door. But I'll let him go on his 11-minute rant. Let's just real quick do this, just so people know. Look, this was 3 days ago, okay? This isn't, oh, this was years ago and hey, ha ha ha, it didn't happen. Nope, it's happening in real time, and I plan on giving you updates regularly, weekly, ideally. And hopefully they're not always like hours long, but it's important. This is the opposite side of human agency. There is human agency in the Father's ways, and there's this and the devil. And that's the dividing line at this point. That's it. That's it. Do.
Today, AI systems can diagnose diseases, can design treatments, can even conduct consultations. In fact, our hospital is already considering cutting the head count of human physicians. Elena is wondering, if AI machines can take over most of medicine, what is left that only a human doctor can do? For millions like Elena around the world, this is not science fiction anymore. This is an unfolding reality, and the part that worries me the most is that we might be heading toward not just a job crisis, but also a purpose crisis. But what if we're looking at this the wrong way? What if AI isn't the end of purpose, but rather the beginning for a new way to imagine it? I work with country leaders around the world to shape national AI agendas, build digital economies, and design cities of the future. And no matter where I go and how technical the agenda is, I almost always end up hearing the same questions. The first one is practical. If AI is going to take over our jobs, how are we going to survive? How will we pay our bills? Now, that is the elephant in the room, yes. And indeed, governments and economists must start working very urgently to redesign the very systems that have been sustaining our communities. But that's not the question I want to focus on today, because the second question runs even deeper. Will AI make us useless? If we don't work, then who are we? If I don't produce, do I even still matter? See, for centuries, we've tied our identity and our worth to what we do. Farmers, factory workers, coders, consultants. Work and jobs became the organizing and defining principle of our society in modern life. But it wasn't always this way. Before the Industrial Revolution, our identity came from faith, from family, from community. Work was part of life, but it wasn't the very definition of it. Then came industrialization, and we didn't just industrialize production. We also industrialized identity. What do you do became shorthand for who are you? And AI today is dismantling fully that model. AI is automating tasks across the board, in manufacturing, in logistics, in design, in customer services, even in creative work. AI today can compose music, can design codes, can illustrate books, and way much more. In fact, the World Economic Forum predicts that by this year, 2025, AI will be doing more tasks than humans, and hundreds of millions of jobs are at risk. But this isn't just about jobs. This is about meaning. This is about dignity. This is about what happens when the one thing that once gave us value becomes obsolete. And if we're not careful, we might all be heading toward a Great Depression, but this time not of income, but of identity. Let me introduce a framework for human roles in the age of AI. I call it the gap circles. The guardians, the adapters.
The importance of understanding one's identity. Notice how he talks about how we once found our identity in our occupation. You see, what he's not understanding is there was a time when the whole of our society understood that our identity was in the Father, that we had occupations, but God, family, country, in that order, was understood by the whole of a society. He is not understanding that the very arguments he's about to make for we're going to find new purpose and new identity and new is the very same argument that led us away from the Father to begin with to find identity in our occupations, because he's not wrong. We did. We did go from pioneers to smiths. And it wasn't just about being, and then over time, it wasn't just, I'm a believer who makes this. I'm a believer who makes that. I'm a believer who makes this. It became, I make this. I make that. To where we are now, to where he's telling you that it's going to be okay, but it's not. It's not, but it's also because we aren't willing to go back to finding our identity in Christ, our purpose, our meaning, our calling in Christ as humans, going to the one mediator between us, the creation, and the Father, the Creator. We're so desperate for that, though, that we'll seek this. You can't tell me you don't want to believe, because I know you do. It's just, it's been a long time. It's been a really long time. And I pray for my children's sake that we do stop being nihilistic, narcissistic pricks and start understanding that taking our human agency into our own hands, believing in the Father, can make us better for not only ourselves, but our families, our nations, the whole of the world. Otherwise, this is what you get. And so let's go to his gaps. But I had to stop and say, all of that 4 minutes about identity, he's not wrong, but he's also, he doesn't understand that there was an identity before we were smiths. Before we were smiths, we were believers. We were pioneers. Not these pioneers, not these ones. But they like to use words that once held meaning so close, so deep. Now it doesn't. But I'll let him go on. So you can hear from the horse's mouth these people who are, this is a TED Talk. This is going to be listened to by, let's just see. Let's just take a gander. 27 million subscribers. Okay. How many views on this one? Does it not say? 36,000 views.
Let's first start with the guardians. These are people that will be driven by our survival as a humanity. They'll be working in medicine, in biology, in pharmacology, in climate sciences. But even their roles will be heavily redefined and reshaped by AI. Take the same person, Elena, the medical doctor, now a human validator in an AI-led immunology lab. The lead scientist in her lab isn't a human, but an AI trained on global biomedical data. Elena leverages her medical knowledge to ensure that the output is ethically sound and human relevant. Next, we have the pioneers. Those are driven by curiosity rather than survival. And to be clear, these two don't always go hand in hand. They'll be the physicists, the scientists, the explorers, the astronauts, the philosophers. A logistics manager whose job has been fully replaced by AI might find himself leaning to an old passion for astronomy and stargazing and planetary systems. And he uses AI-powered upskilling tools to become a cosmic systems architect. What a mouthful for a job title.
Once called that a theologian.
He works with an AI that is trained on decades of astrophysics data. Together, they simulate the cosmos. And they explore together what lies in the universe behind our understanding. And maybe one day you'll never know. They might discover aliens. Sandwiched between the two are the adapters, the largest and probably most overlooked circle or group. Those won't be measured by their output or their titles, but rather by how they live, how they connect, and how they create meaning. A graphic designer might find herself rethinking her place in this world as AI automates most of her work. So she pivots to community-based creativity. She runs community art workshops, takes care of her father, and runs and hosts a podcast on emotional intelligence. Now, she's not traditionally employed, yes, but she deeply contributes to her community. Now, some of you might be thinking, this sounds like a new class system. And in some ways, it is. But it's not going to be based on wealth or status. The guardians and the pioneers might be the elites of the future, but it's not for what they own, but rather for what they contribute. So legacy, not money, becomes the currency of aspiration in the future. And these circles are likely to be fluid. So a guardian today might become an adapter in the future. An adapter might push themselves to become a pioneer, and so on. And as AI continues to reshape work, these roles might shrink in their scope, but they will certainly expand in their meaning or value. And make no mistake, the adapters themselves will not be passive. They will also seek recognition, not wealth accumulation. Because in a world that is driven less by money and more by contribution, recognition becomes the new status symbol. Now you might ask,
I'm sorry, but at the same time, he's literally telling you that, hey, you'll find purpose in the fact that you have no purpose. He's telling you that what you find purpose in now is going to be gone. But just because it's gone, you are going to cope so hard that if you're able to find even a shred of what once gave you purpose, you're going to hold on to it and you're going to call that purpose now. And you'll be okay with that until they come along and they take that shred. They take that shred and they take it from you until you're hanging on to just a shred of that shred, and on 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 it goes. You see, he doesn't understand that at the beginning, in the beginning, he doesn't understand that. And so he doesn't understand that in the end. If you don't know the one, you don't know the other. And if you don't know, then you don't know. Don't know.
how can we make this real? First, we need to rethink how we compensate contribution. As AI reduces the need for traditional work, we need to design new systems that can bring value and security beyond the paychecks, ensuring that everyone has guaranteed access to the minimum level of resources that would allow them to live with dignity. But beyond that foundation, the additional earnings people will be able to make should depend on how they spend their time, through the small, meaningful acts of contribution that they can bring to their society, like caring for an aging parent or planting a public garden, through the connections they nurture and the new meaning they add in their communities. Second, we need to rewire education, not only for skills, but also for character, emotional intelligence, ethics, resilience, creativity. Education must prepare people not only to earn, but also to belong. Third, we must
educate our children to belong. To this? I think not. I think not. Belong, meaning to graft yourself into this hive mind? No, please don't. Please, for the sake of your children, your children's children, and you having to witness what will happen to your children and your children's children, please don't do this. Please don't do that.
in our emotional infrastructure. As jobs disappear, so will identities. And we need the spaces and the communities that can help people rediscover who they really are. And finally, we need the ecosystem that would allow us to test all of these ideas today. Cities and campuses where we can pilot new ways for contribution, for recognition, and for belonging. Imagine waking up every morning to a daily feed, not filled with stock prices, but these beautiful small contributions around you. Who helped a child how to read today? Who composed new music that lifted spirits? Who mentored someone in line? Who gave an inspiring TED Talk today? Each of these tasks and acts might be small on their nature, but
each of these acts could be done by you, but you're too busy scrolling, seeing what other people do. Don't be like that. Don't be like that.
But together, they become the heartbeat of the society. This isn't just about policy. This is about the very foundation of our society. Our communities have been built on a simple loop. People work, earn, accumulate, and spend. Government tax that labor to fund public life. But in a world where that traditional work disappears, that loop breaks. The assumption that productivity means purpose, or that income means contribution, all of that has to be revisited and reimagined. So the real question in the future isn't, will AI make us useless? But rather, what do we choose to become when we no longer have to work just to survive? And if that future sounds a bit abstract, I want each one of you to think about the most meaningful and special moments in your life. The ones that you remember when you are either alone or surrounded by those who you love. Did these moments happen at your desk? Or were they moments of connection, of creativity, and compassion? That is the future we can and we should build. But it won't happen by accident. It will take policies, yes, but even more, a cultural reset. We must stop teaching people that their worth will only be measured by their output, and we should start preparing people for a future and a world where work is no longer the center of identity. Because the age of AI isn't just about testing our technology. It's also about testing our imagination. So let's imagine better. Let's take this moment not as an ending, but as an invitation to rediscover purpose, to redefine value, and to reclaim the very essence of what it truly means to be a human in the age of AI. Thank you.
Well, I didn't expect him to say all of the quiet parts out loud there at the end, but there you have it. Reimagine what it is to be a human being. No, 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 no. You know what I have to say to that guy? You know what I have to say to that guy? hmm When it comes to artificial intelligence,
I quit. 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 I quit.
you remember how Jeffrey Hinton was saying there were people like himself and Elon Musk who thought, well, there's a pretty good chance this could be bad, and so we should, maybe we should do some stuff about it. Well, here's what Elon Musk thinks.
Created that is far greater than our own. And will this be bad or good for humanity? It's like, I think it'll be good. Most likely it'll be good. Yeah. Yeah. But I somewhat reconciled myself to the fact that even if it wasn't going to be good, I'd at least like to be alive to see it happen. So
there you have it. I think it'll be good. It's like I hope it'll be good, but I've somewhat reconciled myself to the fact that even if it wasn't, I'd still like to be alive to see it. What? Dum da dum dum dum. Do 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 do.
Yeah, don't you see the danger, John, inherent in what you're doing here? Genetic power is the most awesome force the planet's ever seen, but you wield it like a kid that's found his dad's gun.
It's hardly appropriate to start hurling generalizations.
If I may, I'll tell you the problem with the scientific power that you're using here. It didn't require any discipline to attain it. You know, you read what others had done, and you took the next step. You didn't earn the knowledge for yourselves, so you don't take any responsibility for it. You stood on the shoulders of geniuses to accomplish something as fast as you could, and before you even knew what you had, you patented it and packaged it and slapped it on a plastic lunchbox, and now you're selling it. You want to sell it. Well,
I don't think you're giving us our due credit. Our scientists have done things which nobody's ever done before.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could that they didn't stop to think if they should.
The truth. Ain't that the truth?
It starts the exact moment that superintelligence gets a body and legit starts competing with us in the physical world. Think about it. For 200,000 years, the entire physical economy ran on human muscle and sweat. That was our domain. I don't know about y'all, but everyone is obsessing over the wrong thing. We're all hyped up on digital AGI, chatbots, code generators, whatever. But let me be real with you for a second. The true singularity, it's not going to happen on a screen. It starts the exact moment that superintelligence gets a body and legit starts competing with us in the physical world. Think about it. For 200,000 years, the entire physical economy ran on human muscle and sweat. That was our domain. But that era is straight up ending. We aren't just talking about automation anymore. We're talking about AGI that can walk, build, and adapt faster than any human ever could. It's borderline scary, and honestly, the physical economy is about to get rewritten. Let's break it down. In the next 15 minutes, we're going to break down the massive forces driving what I'm calling the robot singularity. First, we'll look at how AGI is moving from software into machines, and why Nvidia's CEO Jensen Huang says we are realizing science fiction.
Humans are going to need a physical, observable replacement to adopt the rest of what comes after. And so the idea of a robot singularity, the idea where humans and robots, I'm guessing, I haven't even watched this video, but the idea of humans and robots living simultaneously, coexisting with one another. Yep.
Labour is about to make human labour mathematically obsolete. Third, we're going to look at the consumer race, because this tech isn't just for factories anymore, it's coming for your living room. And finally, we'll talk about the power shift, how this tech reshapes global dominance and what it means for your job. This isn't just a tech review, this is an economic survival guide. Let's go. Chapter 1. The Age of Bodied Intelligence. We've all been glued to our screens watching LLMs write poetry, thinking that's the peak. But here's the reality check. AGI without a body is basically a ghost. Digital brains are cool. But the actual economy? It doesn't run on text, it runs on atoms, it runs on moving stuff, welding stuff, shipping stuff. And until literally right now, robots were, well, kind of dumb. They were bottlenecked by mobility, perception, and control. But listen to Brett Adcock, the founder of Figure AI. He didn't mince words when he said, "We're not building robots, we're building a new species."
We're building a new species here, and it's going to be like we'll start with thousands and millions and billions and
We're not building robots, we're building a new species, really.
I think you're building a new species with onboard intelligence.
That is the vibe right now. We aren't building tools, we are building entities. You've got Tesla's Optimus showing off fine motor control that rivals a human hand. You've got Jensen Huang from NVIDIA explicitly stating, "We are as close to realizing science fiction as it gets."
Okay, let's talk about the next wave of robotics, the next wave of AI, robotics, physical AI.
When the guy selling the shovels for the AI gold rush tells you the next wave is robotics, you listen. These machines aren't just following scripts anymore, they are using vision language models, VLMS, to look at a messy room, understand it, and clean it up without a single line of pre-written code. But here is the part that should actually keep you up at night. The true glitch in the Matrix moment isn't that robots can walk. It's this: a robot with AGI doesn't need to learn. It downloads. If one robot in a factory in Berlin figures out how to fix a specific engine part, every single robot.
Think of Grok Heavy and 4 Optimus robots and what they could accomplish. Now, just scale it up. We all know where this is headed. Some of us are just willing to acknowledge it and say, bullshit, bullshit.
What's in that company's fleet from Tokyo to Texas knows how to do it instantly. Humans take 10,000 hours to master a skill. A robot fleet takes 10 seconds. That is the difference between a worker and a universal worker. Chapter 2. The physical economy collapses. Alright, buckle up because we need to talk money. And I don't mean small change, I mean the kind of economics that breaks the world. Right now, hiring a human being costs anywhere from $4 to $40 an hour globally. That's the floor. But look at where the cost of humanoid robots is going. According to a massive report from Goldman Sachs, the bill of materials, the cost to build the bot, has already dropped by 40% in just 1 year. We are seeing cost curves that look exactly like Moore's Law. Elon Musk has gone on record saying that at scale, an Optimus robot will cost less than a car, maybe $20,000 to $30,000.
I think at scale, this would cost something like, $20,000, $30,000. Probably less than a car, is my prediction long term.
Now do the math with me. A $20,000 robot that lasts for 5 years and works 16 hours a day. You are looking at an operating cost of less than $1 per hour. Let that sink in. Less than $1. Humans need sleep. We get tired, we get injured, we need healthcare. A robot runs 24/7. It has zero fatigue, it never complains. This isn't competition, it's an economic massacre. Even ARK Invest is predicting that by 2030, this technology could expand the market value of disruptive innovation to over $200 trillion.
So today, we think that disruptive technologies are valued in the marketplace at roughly $13 trillion. And we think the value accrual will exceed 200 trillion by 2030. And so more than half of global equity market capitalization will be comprised of disruptive technologies and the innovation platforms that we focus on.
Why? Because when labor becomes cheap, you can do more of it. And that brings us to the paradox that Elon Musk keeps talking about, an age of abundance.
And I do think overall that the potential is there for artificial intelligence, AI, to have most likely a positive effect, to create a future of abundance where there is no scarcity of goods and services.
We've spent all of human history terrified of scarcity. But Geordie Rose, the CEO of Sanctuary AI, put it bluntly, the goal is to replace the entire labour market. He's not hiding it. The plan is to take every job that is dangerous, dull or dirty and give it to a machine. But here is the catch. Our economy is built on selling our labour. If labour cost goes to zero, the price of goods might crash. Sure, but how do we earn money to buy them? That is the $100 trillion question. The Amazon case study. If you think these numbers are theoretical, just look at Amazon. They are the ultimate testing ground. For the last decade, Amazon has used blind robots, those little Kiva Roombas that move shelves around. They have deployed over 750,000 of them, but that was just phase one. Now, they are testing Agility Robotics Digit in their R&D labs south of Seattle.
We are very excited about the Amazon relationship and what's transpired recently. We were part of their key Media Day event, and up there we demoed and showed Digit doing real work in a use case that we were testing at up in Seattle at Amazon's facilities.
Why? Because a shelf mover can't unload a truck. It can't sort a chaotic pile of packages. Amazon currently employs about 1.5 million humans globally, mostly to do the things the Roombas can't.
Units, not beings. That's sad. That's sad.
Can't grasp, sort, and walk. Here is the math that Wall Street is staring at right now. Reports suggest that replacing humans with robots could save Amazon over $10 billion a year. That isn't just efficiency, that is enough pure profit to essentially fund their entire AI research division for free. And they aren't alone. Jeff Bezos himself just dropped $100 million into Figure AI. Microsoft added another $95 million. This isn't a maybe anymore. When the savings are in the billions, the board of directors doesn't ask if, they ask how fast. Chapter 3. The Invasion of the Home. But here is where it gets personal. We used to think these things would stay in the factory for another 20 years. We were wrong. Just a few weeks ago, October 2025, 1X officially opened pre-orders for the Neo. This isn't a prototype. This is a consumer product. For $20,000, or about $500 a month, you can now lease a humanoid android for your home. It's specifically designed with soft muscle technology, so it doesn't accidentally hurt your kids or your dog. It uses an expert mode, where if the robot gets confused, a human operator somewhere in the cloud can take control and finish the task for you. And they aren't the only ones. Figure AI just unveiled the Figure 03 back in October, aiming for mass production of 12,000 units a year. And we know Apple is lurking in the shadows. Rumours about their Project J595 tabletop robot and a future mobile bot are everywhere. When Apple enters a market, it's not a science experiment anymore, it's a lifestyle. This is the iPhone moment for robotics. Just like the smartphone put the internet in your pocket, these bots are putting physical labour in your closet. Imagine coming home and your laundry is done, the dishwasher is unloaded, and the floor is mopped. That sounds like paradise, right? But ask yourself, if a robot can navigate your messy living room for $3 an hour, what makes you think it can't navigate your office cubicle for the same price? Chapter 4. The New Power Pyramid. Historically, power was a numbers game. If you had a massive population, like China or India, you had a massive economic engine. But in the robot singularity, that logic gets flipped on its head. Listen to me closely. The winners of the next century aren't the countries with the most people. The winners are the countries that control the stack. This is why Morgan Stanley is projecting a global market of 1 billion humanoid robots by 2050. That is a humanoid economy that rivals the entire auto industry. Let's visualize this power pyramid. At the bottom you have energy, robots are hungry. Above that, chips, thanks Nvidia. Then the AGI models, and at the top, the hardware. Right now the US has a massive lead on the brain side. But China is coming for the body. They are mobilizing their entire EV supply chain to pump out humanoid robots the same way they pump out iPhones. Their Ministry of Industry just declared humanoids a new engine of growth, and analysts think they could dominate the hardware layer completely. In the robot singularity, GDP is just a proxy. It's not about human productivity anymore. It is just a fancy way of measuring how much automated labour your country controls. the human question. So, what happens to us? If your job involves repetitive physical labour, you are in the immediate danger zone. But the jobs that survive are the ones that orchestrate the machine. We are moving from being the muscle of the economy to becoming the managers of intelligence. If you are sitting there asking, okay, but how do I actually make that shift? How do I become the manager? I've got you covered. I just released the AI Career Survival Guide.
Just like we wouldn't have signed the Patriot Act if we had iPhones and Twitter existed, they wouldn't build the robots if they hadn't already taken over the people whose brains were needed. That's why it came as a surprise to the industry and not myself that it was the coders, the writers of the programs that would be replaced first. They would be replaced, and then they would just be multiplied and multiplied and multiplied and multiplied and multiplied and multiplied. Because the guys who do the heavy lifting, well, they're necessary. The guys who just, at this point, because you're not even making, at this level, you're still not making decisions. You're listening to this algorithm says this algorithm says that, this algorithm says this algorithm says that, and you're just trying to make the best decision of all of those different answers. And you know what? It can do that better than you too. But it can't with the dexterity that's necessary to do many human tasks. It can't do that, except for it can now. Because just like the Patriot Act had to come before your iPhone, well, the brain had to come before the body. But nobody thought that the brain was possible until it was. And now you've got a body too. So, good job, folks. Good job. Great foresight. And hopefully this all goes to crap. And as bad as that will be for the economy, it will be better for humanity. But I'm betting that it just keeps on going.
This isn't a generic ebook. It's a tactical blueprint that helps you run a replaceability audit on your current job and find your asymmetric edge, the specific skills AI can't touch. It maps out exactly how to future-proof your income for the 2025 to 2028 window.
So first up, we had Google drop Gemini 3 Flash, basically a faster and cheaper version of Gemini 3 Pro. It actually beats Gemini 3 Pro on several benchmarks though, which is kind of surprising, like on Arc AGI 2 and on SWE Bench Verified. And on the ones where it doesn't beat it, it's only a few percentage points behind. So Gemini 3 Flash is way more efficient, lower latency, lower cost, while staying very close to pro-level performance. This is exactly the kind of model you want running inside apps, tools, and agents. It's available now in preview via the Gemini API in Google AI Studio, Google Anti-Gravity, Vertex AI, and Gemini Enterprise. And it's rolling out to everyone in the Gemini app and AI mode in search. So yeah, Google absolutely cooked with this one. And even though it didn't get much attention, practically speaking, this is an incredibly useful model. Now, we also saw OpenAI drop their new image generation model last week, GPT Image 1.5. It features stronger instruction following, more precise editing, better detail preservation, and it's about 4 times faster than the previous version. It's rolling out to all ChatGPT users now, and you can also find it in the API. So overall, this is a clear step up from OpenAI's previous image model. From what I've seen so far, I'd say it's on par with, or arguably even better than Google's Nano Banana Pro. And the benchmarks seem to agree. But I'm curious, have any of you tried it yet? Let me know how it's been for you in the comments. OpenAI also recently introduced a brand new benchmark. This one focuses on evaluating AI's ability to perform real scientific research tasks. They're calling it Frontier Science, and it's designed to measure expert-level scientific reasoning across physics, chemistry, and biology. They talk about how when GBQA, a Google-proof science benchmark of questions written by PhD experts, was released in November 2023, GPT-4 scored only 39%, below the expert baseline of 70%. And then only 2 years later, GPT 5.2 now scores 92%. So the science benchmarks are becoming saturated. And as these models continue to scale, we need harder tests if we want to measure and actually forecast how well AI can accelerate scientific discovery. That's where Frontier Science comes in. A new benchmark written and verified by domain experts across physics, chemistry, and biology, made up of hundreds of questions designed to be, quote, difficult, original, and meaningful. And if we actually look at the performance here, you can see two really important things. First, on the Olympiad-style Frontier Science tasks, we're already seeing top models pushing into the 70+ % range, with GPT 5.2 leading the pack. But the more interesting chart, in my opinion, is the Frontier Science research side, because even the best models are still only scoring in the teens to low 20s here. GPT 5.2 tops out around 25%, which tells you these tasks are genuinely hard and not even close to being solved yet. And just to clarify the difference between these two,
These are PhDs, tops of every domain in all of science. This isn't, that's what they're basing it on. If it's not smarter than, if there's still 5 people in all of the world that it's not as smart as, they will cope and hold on to that. Forgetting the fact that there's only 5 people left in the whole of the planet that it's not astronomically more intelligent in every domain, in every facet. Because there's 5 people, it's not AGI. Bullshit.
the Olympiad set is mostly short answer problems, where there is a right answer and it's easier to verify if the model got it correct. The research set, on the other hand, is much more open-ended. Models are graded using a rubric that scores not just the final answer, but whether their intermediate reasoning steps are actually correct. So the research scores are lower because it's a much harder, more realistic test. And the other really important takeaway is how much reasoning effort matters. When you give these models more thinking time, going from low to high to extra high reasoning, their accuracy jumps significantly. On the Olympiad tasks, GPT 5.2 climbs from the high 60s all the way into the mid to high 70s. And on the research tasks, you see the same pattern. Longer reasoning leads to better performance. This is a big deal because it suggests these models aren't just guessing better, they're actually benefiting from longer, deeper chains of reasoning. So we'll certainly be keeping an eye on this benchmark moving forward. Now, switching gears a bit, there was this clip of Yann LeCun, Meta's former chief AI scientist, that's been going absolutely viral. In the clip, he basically argues that there's no such thing as general intelligence, that both humans and AI are really just collections of specialized systems. Just take a look at this.
There is no such thing as general intelligence. This concept makes absolutely no sense because it's really designed to designate human level intelligence. But human intelligence is super specialized. Okay, we can handle the real world really well, like navigate and blah, blah, blah. We can handle other humans really well because we evolved to do this. And chess, we suck. Okay, so, and there's a lot of tasks that we suck at that where a lot of other animals are much better than we are. Okay, so what that means is that we are specialized. We think of ourselves as being general, but it's simply an illusion because all of the problems that we can apprehend are the ones that we can think of, right? And vice versa. And so we're general in all the problems that we can imagine, okay? But there's a lot of problems that we cannot imagine. and there's some mathematical arguments for this, which I may not go into unless you ask me. But so this concept of general intelligence is complete BS.
You see, I can almost guarantee that he is an atheist, not understanding that we are specialized for a general purpose. He doesn't understand that.
Now, what made this even more interesting is that Demis Hassabis, Google DeepMind CEO, jumped in and publicly pushed back on this. And he didn't really mince his words. He straight up said that Yan is wrong here. He says he's confusing general intelligence with universal intelligence. General intelligence doesn't mean being perfect at everything. It means having a single underlying system that can learn a huge range of tasks, given enough time and experience. Humans are a great example of that. Our brains weren't evolved to play chess, build airplanes, or invent modern science, and yet we can do all of those things with the same basic architecture. We're obviously not optimal at everything, but that doesn't mean we're not general. So I definitely agree with this take. Humans individually end up looking like specialized intelligences, but that's mostly because there isn't enough time to learn everything. If you take a kid though, there's no single domain they're locked into from the start. With enough time, enough experience, and training, that same underlying brain can become a physicist, a musician, a pilot, a programmer, whatever you throw at it. We're constrained by time, memory, and environment, not by the architecture itself. At our core, we are general intelligences. And if we can replicate that kind of general learning capacity digitally, then in principle, a system like that can learn anything that's learnable. And that's when you start getting into super intelligence territory. Now, either way, I'm actually glad we have people with very different viewpoints. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how we get there, as long as we get there. And speaking of that, let's talk about what Yan is building now. Yan LeCun just confirmed he's launching a new world model-focused startup, reportedly seeking a valuation around $5 billion. The goal here is to build systems that can actually model the world, reason about it, and plan inside it, which is interesting, given the debate we just talked about. Regardless of philosophy, world models are clearly becoming a core pillar of where advanced AI is heading, and I think everyone can agree on that. We also saw Brett Adcock, the CEO of Figure AI, quietly launch a new AI lab, backed by around $100 million in personal funding. This one isn't about chatbots. It's about building what Brett is calling human-centric AI. Now, details are still pretty limited, but what we do know is that the lab will be called HARK. So this is definitely one to keep an eye on. Meanwhile, on the deal side of things, Amazon is reportedly in talks to invest up to $10 billion into OpenAI. So yeah, yet another circular deal to add to the AI ecosystem. And this one is pretty crazy. There's been some unconfirmed chatter that NVIDIA could be looking to acquire Grok. Not Grok as in XAI's Grok, but Grok as in the chip maker. To be clear, nothing here is official yet. This is still just speculation. But if it were to happen, it would be a pretty massive move. Grok focuses on ultra-low latency inference with highly specialized chips. And NVIDIA folding that kind of architecture into its stack would only strengthen its grip on the AI hardware ecosystem, making it even more of a monopoly than it already is. Again, just a rumor for now though. Now, here is arguably the biggest story of them all. According to Meter Research, Anthropic's Claude Opus 4.5 can now work continuously for up to 5 hours on a single task. And because of this, one Anthropic researcher has said he's shifting his focus toward automated alignment research. His reasoning is pretty straightforward. If we're about to get automated AI research very soon, then alignment needs to be able to keep up during a potential intelligence explosion. So yeah, this isn't really theoretical anymore. We're already seeing systems that can reason, plan, and stay on task for hours at a time. Just a year ago, models could only do this for several minutes, at most. So you can imagine what they'll be able to do in another whole year of progress. And finally, to wrap up this week's recap, the US Department of Energy has now officially brought together 24 companies and research organizations under the Genesis mission. These aren't vague partnerships or pilot programs. These are formal agreements companies, national labs, and institutions now actively working together on accelerating AI-powered scientific discovery. When you see names like OpenAI, Anthropic, AMD, Google, Microsoft, Oracle, and xAI all collaborating under a single national effort like this, you realize just how insane this really is. I already made an entire video covering the Genesis mission, but this is literally the Manhattan Project 2.0, just way, way bigger.
The reason this one feels bigger than a normal CES cycle comes down to one thing. The show is getting dominated by systems that actually do work in the physical world. Robots, on-device AI, sensing, autonomy, and the compute stack that powers all of it. And there's enough confirmed and teased material in the last few weeks to build a full video that feels packed, not padded. Alright, so let's start with this. Hyundai Motor Group has confirmed that it will unveil its AI robotics strategy at CES 2026. They've scheduled a dedicated Hyundai Media Day on January 5th in Las Vegas, running from 1 to 1:45 p.m. Pacific Time. According to Hyundai, this presentation will focus on human-robot collaboration, manufacturing innovation, and how robotics fits into the group's broader production and logistics systems. Hyundai has said this strategy ties directly into its group value network and its software-defined factory approach. That includes how robots are developed, trained, deployed, updated, and managed across different environments. They've also confirmed that the presentation will be live streamed and that the CES show floor experience will continue from January 6th through 9th at the Las Vegas Convention Center. As part of the same CES presence, Hyundai has confirmed that Boston Dynamics will publicly debut the next-generation Atlas robot at CES for the first time. This is the first time the new Atlas is being shown on a public stage. Hyundai has said Atlas will be featured during the Media Day presentation and also demonstrated on the show floor. In addition to Atlas, Hyundai has confirmed that live demonstrations will also include Spot and Mob ED. According to Hyundai, the booth will feature interactive scenarios, a recreation of its robotics research environment, and hourly presentations explaining how these robots are used in real environments. MobED specifically is described as a compact mobility platform designed to carry sensors, equipment, or payloads across uneven terrain using AI-based navigation and perception. Next, moving from industrial robotics into the home, LG Electronics has announced that it will showcase its new home robot called Clo ID at CES 2026. Clo ID is built with 2 articulated arms, and each arm has multiple degrees of freedom. Each hand has 5 individually actuated fingers designed for object handling and manipulation. LG has said the robot includes a head module with a display, cameras, microphones, speakers, and additional sensors for navigation and interaction. Clo ID runs on LG's Affectionate Intelligence software layer, which is designed to support voice interaction, contextual awareness, and task execution. According to LG's announcement, CES 2026 will be the first public showcase of Clo ID. The company has positioned it as a home assistance robot capable of interacting with household objects, opening doors and cabinets, handling laundry items, and supporting basic daily tasks. LG has tied the showcase to its broader CES theme focused on home automation and assistance. Now moving into appliances and smart home systems, Samsung has a large presence centered around what it calls its AI living ecosystem. They're hosting a standalone exhibition space during the show, and they're also kicking off the week with the First Look 2026 event before the main show floor opens. One of the headline products is a new bespoke AI refrigerator family hub. This version includes upgraded AI vision features built using Google Gemini. It's the first time Gemini is being integrated into a refrigerator. The system uses internal cameras to recognize food items, track inventory, and support user-labeled containers. The AI vision system also expands recognition capabilities compared to previous generations. There's also a bespoke AI wine cellar. This system automatically scans wine bottles, tracks storage conditions, and organizes collections digitally. It's presented as part of the same AI ecosystem as the refrigerator and other kitchen appliances. Alongside that, there are newly designed AI-powered cooking appliances. This includes an over-the-range microwave and a slide-in range, both integrated into the AI-managed kitchen system. These appliances are designed to work together within the broader ecosystem rather than as standalone smart devices. Then there's the latest micro RGB television lineup. Micro RGB was introduced at earlier shows, and for 2026, the lineup expands with multiple screen sizes using updated micro RGB panels. LG is also bringing display technology. The company is debuting its first micro RGB televisions, and these sets use a new panel design capable of reaching refresh rates up to 240 Hz while maintaining a full RGB stripe structure. This is achieved using dynamic frequency and resolution technology, allowing users to switch between high resolution and high refresh rate modes. Multiple screen sizes are confirmed, including 75-inch, 86-inch, and 100-inch models. These TVs will be showcased publicly and positioned as part of the premium display lineup. Now, NVIDIA has a confirmed keynote on the schedule. The official CES listing shows CEO Jensen Huang delivering the presentation on January 5th. The event description says it will cover NVIDIA's latest work across AI, simulation, autonomy, and physical systems. Alongside the keynote, NVIDIA also has a broader presence planned across the show. That includes sessions, demonstrations, and CES Foundry programming focused on AI platforms, robotics workflows, and physical AI systems. While specific products haven't all been listed ahead of time, the scope of the presence is clearly laid out in the CTA schedule. Intel is bringing its Panther Lake processors to the show. These chips are part of the Core Ultra Series 3 lineup and are built on the 18 angstrom process. Intel has positioned Panther Lake around AI PCs, edge inference, and improved GPU performance. The launch is tied to CES press activities and centers on performance gains, power efficiency, and local AI workloads. The processors are intended for premium laptops and next-generation AI-enabled devices. AMD is also on the schedule with a keynote from CEO Lisa Su. The session is listed as part of the official programming. While product details haven't been fully outlined yet, the keynote is expected to cover upcoming processors and AI platforms. Moving into PCs and devices, Lenovo is hosting its Tech World event at the Sphere in Las Vegas during CES week. The company says the event will focus on AI-driven hardware and software systems and present its broader vision for smarter devices and platforms. Lenovo is also the parent company of Motorola. Motorola has sent out invitations teasing a book-style foldable smartphone expected to be revealed during the same week. The invite emphasizes an unfold theme, pointing toward a form factor different from its existing flip-style foldables. Now, moving back into robotics hardware and sensing, Paxini is debuting its tactile sensing platform. The system focuses on force and touch sensing for robotic manipulation. The hardware supports real-time grip feedback, force detection, and object interaction, with live demonstrations planned at its booth. Leopard Imaging is also showing robotics-focused hardware. The company will demonstrate humanoid-ready perception systems, including stereo and RGB IR camera setups designed for robotics and physical AI applications. These systems are built for low-light environments, motion handling, and real-time processing. All right, now, in consumer robotics, several companies already have CES appearances lined up. Roborock is listed as an official exhibitor and is expected to show its latest robot vacuum platforms during the show. The company typically uses CES to introduce updates around navigation, mapping, and cleaning systems. Aper is also present with its pool cleaning robot lineup. These systems focus on automated pool maintenance using AI-assisted navigation and cleaning routines. There are also a few additional consumer robotics debuts announced through press releases and CES media channels. Roboten is bringing its modular R2 Pro cleaning robot, which combines vacuuming, mopping, and carpet washing modules into a single system. Allobot has a booth planned for its AI-powered companion robot, described as a cyber pet designed for interaction and companionship. WI Robotics is appearing at CES unveiled with its assistive upper body robot, Alex. The company describes Alex as a system designed for mobility and physical assistance, with CES unveiled serving as its first global showcase. That's the list based on what's already been announced, teased, or scheduled so far. More details will likely come out closer to the show, but this is what's already on the table.
The Overton window moves ever closer to human enslavement. That's what I think. If I were to tell you that there was a nation, not a community, not a city, not a state, but a country had decided to implement artificial intelligence as a nope, not a prime minister, but a minister. Then, if I told you that a month after they released this artificial intelligent minister into the government. The artificial intelligence minister announced that she was pregnant with 83 babies that would serve as assistants to the other members of parliament. You'd think I was crazy. You would think I was insane. Oh no. Albania has become the first country in the world to have an AI minister. Not a minister for AI, but a virtual minister made of pixels and code and powered by artificial intelligence. Her name is Delilah, Dila, meaning sunshine in Albania, and she will be responsible for all public procurement, Prime Minister Edi Rama said Thursday. Oh no, that's a joke, right? No. Oh, so that's real. So I told you, what if being AI minister babies? I was joking. You thought I was joking. Oh, let's not just listen to what AI has to say. Let's find a reputable source. You know, that's proof, right? I mean, I can go to Euronews, but no one news. Euronews here. MSN, oh yeah, of course. Times of India. Which one do you guys want? I don't care. But all of them here. Times of India. Meet world's first AI minister, Dila, giving birth to 83 AI children to reshape Albania's future. Oh no. Albania's Prime Minister Edi Rama announced that their AI minister, Dila, is pregnant with 83 digital offspring. These AI assistants will aid Socialist Party MPs, enhancing parliamentary efficiency and transparency. Dila, the world's first AI minister, was appointed to combat corruption in government tenders, marking a significant step in integration AI into government. Oh no. Okay, well, told you, wasn't lying. I've been telling you that we're all going to end up in a pod. I'll give links to all the videos and articles in the description. Yeah, I think the episode 15 million merits serves as a good example of what your future looks like if we don't turn the ship around now. Yep, that's what I think. I think that's true. I think that's true. And so let's just see. Let's see what that looks like. What's that future look like?
With everything happening in the world, it's hard not to feel a little pessimistic sometimes. I was recently in one of those moods and decided to follow that feeling into a rewatch of the most existentially haunting episode of Black Mirror. For me, that's Season 1, Episode 2, 15 Million Merits. This isn't the most disturbing or stone-cold terrifying episode of Black Mirror, but it's one that sticks in my mind as the most heartbreakingly true episode of the show. 15 Million Merits premiered on December 11th, 2011. At the time, it served as a dark metaphor for where we were headed. Now it feels like a dark metaphor for where we are. I'm going to talk about this episode now, so take this as your spoiler warning. Bing wakes up in a cell surrounded by screens. We quickly get the sense of the world in which he inhabits. A world of digital existence and monetization, where a squeeze of toothpaste has a price tag and there's an erotic ad in the mirror that costs money to skip. Immediately, the reference to our own world starts to take shape. We might not have money taken out of our account every time we brush our teeth, but a tube of toothpaste ain't free. Want to skip the ad on the video you're watching? You can for $10 a month. Next, we see Bing's job, a stationary bike positioned in front of another screen. The riders are earning more merits with each pedal. We hear a song playing as Bing enters the station, which is soon revealed to be a part of the show Hot Shot, a direct adaptation of competition shows like American Idol, a show where regular people can turn into stars by showcasing their talents. Again, we're reminded of the hamster wheel monotony of our own world. Most of us pedal away at a meaningless job to make ends meet. What little is left over we use to distract ourselves. We're implicitly and explicitly fed the story that if we're lucky or talented enough, we can break out of the cell and make it to something better. But most of us eventually accept that we'll never reach that goal and we'll be stuck pedaling our bikes until we die. Likewise, we get a sense of communal isolation. Although these people are riding next to each other all day every day, they hardly seem to be friendly or even cordial. Everyone is out for themselves, and although there's a message of collectivism, no one in the episode has a sense of community. Bing's world is broken into two distinct classes, riders and cleaners. As the riders pedal, the cleaners in yellow suits pick up their discarded trash. Dustin, one of the riders, repeatedly verbally assaults these cleaners throughout the episode. His actions are reinforced by the media that the riders enjoy. We see a game show where the cleaners are abused for entertainment. The only video game we see is one where the cleaners act as zombies while the player shoots them with a shotgun. We also see where this dichotomy comes from, as one of the hefty riders can't keep up and is eventually moved to trash duty. It's a perfect metaphor for the capitalistic nature of our Western society. The primary limiting factor of the cleaners is their weight. In a world where the common job involves riding a bike, it stands to reason that these people could get in shape if the system gave them a chance, but it doesn't. Likewise, in our world, certain people start off with a disadvantage. Instead of giving them a chance to catch up to the pack, they're called lazy and relegated to a lower class. We never see the powers that be in this episode, which allows you to draw your own conclusions. A government, some form of AI, it doesn't really matter. Whatever it is, it's employing the time-tested strategy of divide and conquer. We get an impressively predictive moment as Bing plays video games in his room. During an ad for Wraith Babes, the aforementioned erotic stream, Bing closes his eyes in frustration. But the screen can tell that he's not looking and pauses the ad until he reopens his eyes. Such technology is already being worked on in real life, a decade after the episode's release. This scene serves as criticism of the unrelenting advertisements in the modern world. Bing is clearly disinterested in the ad, but he's worn down after being forced to watch it and orders a video. Bing is different than most of his fellow riders. He seems completely disinterested in the digital world around him, refusing to watch any content other than a simulated country road as he rides. He longs for the real world, but the best he can find is a third-person view of his avatar riding down a dirt path. We hardly see any emotion in his face until he meets Abby, a new member of his block of riders. Bing overhears Abby singing "Anyone Who Knows What Love Is" by Irma Thomas in the bathroom, the first of several times this song pops up in Black Mirror. For Bing, Abby is the only piece of life in this grey world. She's the rose growing out of the crack in the concrete. As he struggles to make awkward conversation with her, an advertisement for Wraith Babes pops up in the mirror, calling him a regular user. This interruption gives these screens a sort of sentience, intervening to prevent Bing from developing a real relationship by embarrassing him. The digital is no match for the physical, after all. Bing meets Abby in the cafeteria and tells her how beautiful her voice is, asking if she's ever thought about trying out for Hot Shot. As is the case with everything in this world, entry costs money. 12 million merits. Abby doesn't have that kind of money, but Bing does. His brother died and left it to him. He hasn't spent it yet because, in his words, it's all just stuff. He wants something real to happen. Again, we see Bing's longing for something outside of this digital prison. Abby eventually agrees, so Bing buys her the ticket. When he does, he realizes that the price went up. It's now 15 million merits, nearly his whole balance. Still, Bing is happy to gift it to her and accompanies Abby to the audition. In the elevator, Abby gives Bing one of her origami.
What his character is illustrating is what belief looks like.
Penguins. The penguins are another representation of the physical world being stifled by digital reality. Abby is never allowed to keep her creations, but can display a small penguin on the screen in her room. A free physical creation is contraband, while a paid digital cosmetic is encouraged. The two enter the holding room and are greeted by dozens of hopefuls, awaiting their chance for an audition. Abby is chosen as soon as she enters, which angers one of the other contestants who claims to have been waiting for weeks. This is the claw machine nature of making it an entertainment, combined with the bitter hatred of the delusionally untalented towards anyone who takes a step ahead of them. This girl gets her shot at the end of the episode, and she's not a good singer.
But I'm a good singer. I can sing.
After being fed a line to read into the screen, Abby and Bing are ushered backstage where Abby's given a juice box called Compliance. Do I even need to explain that one? As soon as Abby takes the stage, she's objectified by Wraith, who tells her to take off her shirt. Her song was beautiful and moves the crowd, but it's not enough. The objectification only continues. Judge Hope, the Simon Cowell of the panel, stops the performance to tell her that Wraith is right. She should pursue a career in the erotic streams. When Abby shows reluctance, the judges push harder and harder. Sheepishly, she caves to the chanting audience. Although Judge Charity, the only female judge, has been pushing the erotic streams alongside her colleagues, we see her shed a tear as she stands to applaud, suggesting that she's doomed this poor girl to a fate similar to her own.
We're doing to our children and our children's children. Have we no fucking shame? I hate what we have become as quote-unquote civilized people.
Abby's transformation into the erotic world is portrayed as instant, and her journey to this point is presented as a tale of success rather than exploitation. Seeing the only piece of beauty and reality bastardized and commodified is too much for Bing, who boils over when he sees Abby in a new Wraith Babes commercial. Bing spent all of his merits on that ticket. Now he doesn't have enough to skip the taunting ad, and can't close his eyes or open the door until it plays through. In a fit of rage, Bing attacks the screen, cracking it in the process. Defeated and slumped into a corner, Bing stares at a broken piece of glass knocked to the floor, picking it up and testing the point. From here, Bing is on a mission to get back on Hotshot. He arrives at the bike rack before anyone else. He eats discarded food, uses barely any toothpaste, and saves every penny until he's back at 15 million merits. Bing buys the ticket and goes through the whole routine again, this time with a shard of broken glass and a crushed box of Compliance in his waistband. He takes the stage and performs a short dance, ironically set to the Wraith Babes theme, before pulling out the shard of glass and holding it to his neck. From here, Bing gives an impassioned rant against the system, how they corrupt and pervert anything real and beautiful in the world, that any true beauty is processed and doled out in meager portions until it's nothing more than another diluted product for them to sell. Bing's passion is a shocking departure from his character thus far. It's a captivating breakdown, complete with a crescendo of fuck yous to the judges and the powers that be.
Fuck you in the spotlight and the sanctimonious faces and fuck you all for taking the one thing I ever came close to anything real about anything.
What it looks like when belief is taken away. We've all become like this guy. Far too many have become like this poor man here. By merely adopting the new and forgetting what was actually good, what was actually beautiful, how beautiful the garden was. No, we wanted to remanufacture it into something better, but we didn't.
He might as well be speaking to us. He is speaking to us in a way. His words apply as much to our world as they do to his own. And when he's done, the judges love it. Everyone loves it. This is the first truly real thing any of these people have maybe ever heard. They love it so much, in fact, that Judge Hope offers Bing a show on his channel. 30 minutes, twice a week.
His speech and the reaction to his speech says about our collective society needs to be heard. And so I'm going to play the speech that he gave to the whole of the audience and those quote unquote judges that made them all go, something real, somebody authentic. That's how desperate we are for something genuinely authentic.
Speak! I haven't got a speech, I didn't plan words, I didn't even try to. I just knew I had to get here, to stand here, and I knew I wanted you to listen. To really listen, not just pull a face like you're listening, like you do the rest of the time. A face like you're feeling instead of processing. You pull a face and poke it towards the stage, and we la-dee-da, we sing and dance and tumble around, and all you see up here, it's not people. You don't see people up here, it's all fodder. And the faker the fodder is, the more you love it, because fake fodder is the only thing that works anymore. Fake fodder is all that we can stomach. Actually, not quite all. Real pain, real viciousness, that we can take. Yeah, stick a fat man up a pole, we'll laugh ourselves feral, because we've earned the right. We've done so time, and he's slacking the scum, so ha 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 at him. Because we're so out of our minds with desperation, we don't know any better. All we know is fake fodder and buying shit. That's how we speak to each other, how we express ourselves is buying shit. Well, I have a dream. The peak of our dreams is a new hat for our doppel. A hat that doesn't exist. It's not even there. We buy shit that's not even there. Show us something real and free and beautiful. You couldn't. Yeah? It'd break us. We're too numb for it. Our minds would choke. There's only so much wonder we can bear. That's why when you find any wonder whatsoever, you dole it out in meager portions. And only then till it's augmented and packaged and pumped through 10,000 pre-assigned filters, till it's nothing more than a meaningless series of lights while we ride day in, day out. Going where? Powering what? All tiny cells and tiny screens, and bigger cells and bigger screens, and fuck you! Fuck you! That's what it boils down to, is fuck you! Fuck you for sitting there and slowly knitting things worse! Fuck you and your spotlight and your sanctimonious faces, and fuck you all for taking the one thing I ever came close to anything real about anything! But oozing around it and crushing it into a bone, into a joke, one more ugly joke in the kingdom of millions, and then fuck you! Fuck you for happening! Fuck you for me, for us, for everyone! Fuck you!
I think he's speaking for a lot of people. The only way to get back to what is beautiful is to accept the real. The fact that we were made by someone who's real, and that we are real, that these people are real. Or this will be our future, your children's future, your grandchildren's future. So, yeah. What if I told you, just like they've already put artificial intelligence in charge of entire nations, that there's patents written that no longer are implemented? I'll grant that. But patents written that would incorporate a human being's activity into generating currency, much like the riding of the bike or the watching of the advertisements. Yeah, that's already been done too. Mr. Bill Gates did it in 2019 with Microsoft. Yep. Cryptocurrency system using body activity data. Patent number W0220060606A1. Yeah, status is ceased. I think that probably means it's not being done, but here's what it would enable. Human body activity associated with a task provided to a user may be used in a mining process of a cryptocurrency system. A server may provide a task to a device of a user which, in communicatively coupled to the server, a sensor communicatively coupled to or comprised in the device of the user may sense body activity of the user. Body activity data may be generated based on the sensed body activity of the user. The cryptocurrency system communicatively coupled to the device of the user may verify if the body activity data satisfies one or more conditions set by the cryptocurrency system and award cryptocurrency to the user whose body activity data is verified. If you're watching the advertisement, you get rewarded. If you ride the bike, you get rewarded. 2019. So when I say that you might end up in a pod, I mean it. And I really hope you choose not to, but it's going to take you using your own human agency. And I know I went on a bit of a tangent, probably a few, but hey, that's the status quo for me. So there's your weekly update as far as artificial intelligence. Hold on tight, folks, because it's going to be a ride. Take care. I love y'all, and be blessed.